Hello, hello, hello. Hooligan Soccer Podcast coming at you with myself, Gary Stryker, as always, with the Crooligan and his Oakland Roots shirt. And of course, our second time appearance, second cap for special guest, Will Gittens. Gentlemen, hello. Good morning. We are doing an MLS playoff round one look back special, looking into it as well. So once we get into it, but gentlemen, we have just finished round one of the playoffs. As we know, last game last night was Austin getting comprehensively beaten by LAFC on the West Coast. Gentlemen, welcome. Hello. How are we all feeling after the first round of the playoffs?
Not Hello surprised.
I am also very good. And as the Crooligan mentions there, I think it's all fairly gone to plan, pretty much gone to plan so far, but there's certainly a few ties that are very much still open, all to play for heading into the weekend's games.
Indeed.
Agreed.
Indeed.
Really not much on the shocking side for the playoffs.
Okay.
But we can get into some details. There are some, I think, there's some interesting trends along the line, but mostly predictable. I mean, Did anybody really think that Inter Miami wasn't going to win their first game? I mean,
no, I think it was comprehensively comfortable. It was, wasn't it? Yes, wonderful.
It was,
well, guys.
It was, yeah.
Indeed. Well, as always, of course, you can always see all the ramblings, musings, insights as well at hooligan-soccer.com. Will, obviously, you've become a regular contributor as well to the platform as well, which is wonderful, of course, with the Crooligan. We were just talking as well how the MLS have released the salary data as well for the back half of the season as well. So I know there's going to be some more insights into that. Is Son underpaid, overpaid? Obviously, I know there'll be many other ways to slice and dice it as well. He probably deserves a little bit of a bonus, the impact that he's had. I saw an interview with the chief business officer of LAFC, and they were talking about the shirt sales and just the exponential shirt sales that have happened since Son have risen, and she must be absolutely rubbing her hands together as well. And I saw that LAFC apparently have valued themselves or have a valuation of $1.2 billion as a franchise, which is pretty impressive considering they were not even a team less than 5 years ago, right? So it's
a little longer than that, but still, yeah.
It's pretty impressive. Anyway, wonderful. Well, guys, as always, hooligan-soccer.com. Let's get into it. So, gents, let's start chronologically. Inter Miami kicked us off. Messi and the gang hosted Nashville.
Yeah.
Messi with 2 goals. You know, Allende scored as well. Allende, forgive me. Allende, sorry, that's it. Tadeo Allende. There we go. Gents, why don't we break this one down a little bit? I mean, is it really a shock, I suppose, or I suppose we don't need to spend huge amounts of time on this, but tell me, what is your take on this one, guys?
Well, I think looking back at the form between these two teams, Nashville and Inter Miami have played a lot in this Messi era. Notably, It was the League's Cup final in 2023 when Messi, burst onto the scene in MLS. And in 8 games prior to Friday night, Inter Miami had won 6 and drawn 2. And it's now 1-7, drawn 2. It was, as you mentioned, pretty comprehensive. There was a brace from Lionel Messi to be expected, a diving header from Lionel Messi, perhaps less expected.
A rare
19.
One, yes.
He has 19 header goals in his career. That was his 19th.
Wow.
Which is not bad, actually. And he's got
for 5'5", sure.
Yeah.
Or however tiny he is, right? He's listed at 5'7", but I think that's with the boots on.
Yeah.
And a Champions League final headed goal, and now a MLS Cup playoffs round 1, game 1 headed goal to his tally. But as you mentioned, fairly comprehensive win for Miami. I think Nashville definitely tried to alter the way they played. I mean, again, these two met on the last day of the regular season, and Miami cruised past them 5-2. Nashville went for a more defensive way of playing, and they were 3-0 down after about an hour. So that really didn't work. They did switch back to their more usual 4-2-2-2 formation towards the end. Got a goal back from a free kick. But yeah, as you kind of referenced, it's pretty difficult to see Nashville really getting back into this round of 3.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the way you.
Yeah.
I like the way you introduced, where you said Messi burst onto the scene with Miami. I love how he's still bursting onto the scene with press.
In MLS, I did clarify, but
it was a silent caveat. There was an asterisk on that, and you had to see the footnote. But other than that, yes, he's absolutely right.
Yeah, you guys, when we also sort of got together before this round, you guys were espousing Sam Surridge, and the only thing you guys seemed to do was get a yellow card as well. Just looking at the statistics.
Well, that's true. But Nashville has lived and died on the combination of Surridge and Mukhtar, right? They have scored, 68% of all of Nashville's goals have come from those two. So if they don't have a good night, Nashville doesn't have a good night. That is just a truth. That's just truth. And I will say this, Mukhtar's free kick was an absolute screamer. It was gorgeous. Came in the 11th minute of stoppage time, which was also a little absurd, but okay, fine. Yeah, Miami just has to stop Surridge, and they've pretty much got it. I think Miami will lose the next fixture. I think Nashville's going to go home. They're a little embarrassed. They've got some egg on their face, and they're gonna hit Miami pretty hard.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think ultimately Miami wins this one. I don't see Miami losing another game at home to this team. So I think we're on track, right? We're moving along certainly the way I saw it. And I don't know, Will, did you have Miami in 2 or did you have Miami in 3 originally? I can't remember.
In 2, I think.
You had it in 2?
And I don't think I've changed my opinion on that front.
Great.
Yeah. Well,
let's see what happens.
Well, first of all, the two of you are statistical phenomenons as well, just dropping all of these percentages and stats, which is fantastic. So, Kuligan, you are saying then that Charlotte are going to get their first win in, is it 8 games, Will? Is that right, against Miami? They're going to get their first win. Nashville.
I'm going for Miami in 2. But yeah, Kuligan,
I'm going for Miami in 3. I think Nashville wins the next one. Yeah.
Wow, interesting. The other interesting thing that's noticeable about this is because we don't have a World Series going on a Saturday as well, there's going to be all of these games played there's going to be a whole bunch of games played on Saturday as well. So it's going to be a lot more entertaining this weekend as well, compared to last weekend. And we're saying because Fox were broadcasting both of those rights. So that should be a little bit more entertaining this weekend. Okay, so that's Miami and co. I agree with you, Will. I think Miami will go all the way and probably choke in the final, as they tend to normally do as well. That seems to be Miami's repertoire. There was also one of the other East Coast games as well. Last Sunday was the Philly played against Chicago as well. They took that one to penalties, which was an interesting one. So which I think both of you guys were watching this. Is that right?
Yeah, and I think the big story out of this game probably came a few minutes before kickoff. It was a surprise injury to Philip Zinckernagel, who picked up an oblique injury, I believe abdominal kind of region, picked up a injury in the warm-up, ruled out for the game. And that is, just to go back, I think he's a newcomer of the year candidate. 15 goals, 15 assists from a sort of wide midfield, attack midfield kind of position for Chicago. So losing him minutes before the game was a real blow. Philadelphia went 2-0 up. And then Chicago really looked to have pulled off a bit of a surprise, battling back, scoring 2 latest goals, one very late goal from Jack Elliott, former Philadelphia player, the centre half, smashing in a volley from 25 yards. Looked like Philadelphia were kind of on the back foot at that point, because they also missed their first spot kick of the penalty shootout. And then, a big save from Andre Blake in goal for Philadelphia. Kind of, I don't know, the sense you got watching it, at least on television, was that kind of righted the vibe for Philadelphia. That was pulling them back from the edge, and then, yes, a series of good spot kicks from Philadelphia. But just looking ahead to game 2, Zinckernagel has still not returned to training. We're speaking on Thursday morning, 2 days ahead of the Saturday game 2, the crucial game for Chicago. That's their one game on home turf. And yeah, as of yet, still not practicing. It'll probably be another late decision on whether he's fit enough to play. I mean, Kuligan, I don't know if you can see Chicago really getting past the Union without Zinckernagel in the team.
No, he's very essential to he's incredibly essential. And you called it absolutely correct. his loss was noticeable, but you've got to give credit to Chicago's steeliness for even, orchestrating such a late comeback. I mean, all the goals happened after they all happened after the 70th minute. I mean, it was just like an interesting chess match with Philadelphia just probing. And then all of a sudden it was like, bam, 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 bam. It's just like, oh, wow. Elliott hits that screamer and then he flubbed the spot kick, right? So it's like, dang. He's a clutch player. Elliott has a history of hitting clutch goals in playoffs, right? So I was not surprised by that. And ultimately, I don't see Chicago making it. If Zinkernagel does not play, I do think that Chicago could bow out early in 2, right? I know you had them picked for advancing in 3, Will, correct?
I believe so, yeah.
And so that must have that blow hurt your credibility too. I have to say, Zinkernagel's he's got to do more sit-ups.
It was possible. Did not think it was possible. I think another thing we saw from the Philly side of things was just the importance of having those attacking options that they have.
Yes.
I mean, they've already lost Quinn Sullivan due to injury. They started with Baribo and Damiani up top, and then it was Ure who came off the bench, scored a goal for them, and really showed those attacking options that Chicago do not have.
Yeah.
I
think this is now with that injury and the subsequent game than what we saw. I do think that this is now Philadelphia's contest.
Can I ask a question here as well? Because Ty Baribo, I remember Cooligan, we were talking about him and espousing what a great start to the season he had and how efficient and ruthless he was being at the early phases of the season. Do you think there's any chance of him scoring in the subsequent match coming on Saturday, or do you think?
No, there's a chance, but he's cool. He cooled. He had to quote Mr. Gittens, he burst onto the scene in the early parts of the season, and then
more than
immediately dropped off. Right, about halfway through, the majority of the goals that you see in his stats all came in the front half, and even in the first 6-7 games, he front loaded pretty heavy, and then
Well, I think that's the very definition of bursting onto the scene, isn't it? If otherwise, it would just be a sort of a season phenomenon. Otherwise, rather than just bursting onto the scene.
Yeah.
But there we go. I agree. I think Philadelphia probably have too much firepower here as well. And as you say, if Chicago are a little bit light in terms of their roster as well, I think they're going to struggle to get past Philly by the looks of it. And of course, Philadelphia are sort of overall champions as well, so they are definitely sort of one of the stronger favorites here for sure, right? Okay, moving on. Speaking of other favorites as well, I mean, Vancouver, Thomas Mueller, all the boys as well. I mean, Dallas, why even bother turning up for the return fixture as well? This looks like it's a slam dunk for them. Is that the way we're thinking?
Nothing to see there, baby. I mean, that was. I think the only thing that surprised me was that it took Vancouver so long to score. Right? I was really expecting a true annihilation, but no, Dallas took them a bit of time.
Dallas had 0 shots on target in this game, just looking at the statistics.
I mean, when you look at the actual attack momentum from SofaScore, they barely even register. There's no blue at all on their side. It's all Vancouver. So sure. Yeah. It's and of course Mueller got a goal, right? It was a penalty, but it doesn't matter. They all count the same. But yeah, right before halftime when Rios popped that in, you're just like, yep, that's it.
There it is.
I mean, they're going in with 1 up, and they're not going to give up anything else. So
yeah, seal's been broken, and it's.
I don't have much to say about this game other than it's going exactly as planned, and it should be over with when they go down to Dallas. Right? I mean, Will, do you see anything different happening?
To be honest, I think Vancouver have been so consistent all season, so good in so many different competitions. Yeah. I think it's done. Yeah. Vancouver in 2.
Vancouver have been fantastic. Yeah, they've been a really, really great team. Okay. All right, moving on to now my new favorite team as well. Obviously, inaugural in their season, San Diego FC. Obviously, having won the Western Conference as well, playing against Portland. Cooligan, I seem to remember you claiming you were espousing that it was going to be a wet, soggy night up in Portland for this. So no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't.
No.
It's another game. No,
that was decision day when Portland played San Diego FC. Yeah, due to the idiocy of MLS scheduling and various other things, we had 2 repeat fixtures. So Vancouver Dallas was a repeat of the decision day, and San Diego and Portland was also a repeat of the decision day. I mean, it's interesting, but it's lame. That's
interesting,
my opinion, right?
Interesting is a euphemism, obviously, for idiocracy. Is that what it is? It's
well, I mean, you'd think that I don't know. It's just the way the overall playoff structure and the playoff format. I really do think they should be doing a refresh on that, not necessarily limiting everything into the conferences. They should take all of the best teams, stack rank, and then have them play against each other. That's my opinion.
I agree.
But whatever, I don't get to make any decisions on the MLS. They haven't found my phone number yet.
We can dox
MLS,
you right. We can dox you right now.
And, yeah, very good rates for advising you guys.
Okay, so
and again, this was another. I did watch this, but I have to say this was one of those games where I think San Diego probably could have put 4 in. They could have really stomped on Portland's neck. They were certainly the stronger team in terms of the possession. They were the stronger team, obviously in terms of goal scoring. But it was over with in the first. It was over with as soon as Portland's 40 got that second yellow.
Yeah,
done.
66 minutes done.
Yeah. Once they went a man down, you just knew that San Diego was not going to. They weren't going to yield at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I think watching, I thought the same. I think the interesting angle on San Diego at the moment is the status of Chucky Lozano, who is,
that's true.
We found out this week, who is the 5th best paid player in the entire league, the superstar on the roster, and hasn't been seen in 3 or 4 weeks now, was not even in the squad for the opening game of the playoffs. And, just to recap for anyone not aware, he is out of the team due to internal reasons, according to the club. The Athletic has reported it was a locker room bust up altercation a few weeks ago, and he has not been seen since. So to have a player with such a big personality, such a big salary, not useful, about 80 Mexico caps, I think. It'll be interesting to see as the playoffs go on, as they play against teams of a higher quality, how they try and introduce him back into the team, and whether that's even possible at this stage.
Yeah.
As important as he has been, and I always, at the risk of sounding disrespectful, I always saw Chucky as a pandering type of hire, right? I mean, there's no doubt that he's had some incredible moments, right? His start at PSV was insane. Some of the stuff and things that he's pulled off with the Mexican national team have been remarkable, but I never saw him as a particularly good fit. I saw him as an excellent demographic fit for San Diego's market, right?
Of course, yeah.
And as a young team, they want to get a DP in there that's going to attract people into the stadium, and it's going to get people to be excited. He's got 9 goals this year, a couple of assists. In my opinion, he was not worth the cost. I think they drop him at the end of the season. They take that DP spot and that money, and they go and they get some other, right, and get somebody else. On the other hand, their other DP, Anders Dreyer, has exceeded all expectations. There is nobody that could have expected a season that he has had, right? Even himself. He has overachieved on every level and is likely pound for pound or dollar for dollar the most valuable player in the MLS right now, just in terms of the output that he's doing and the goals and the assists. He's got double-digit goals, double-digit assists. He's all over the field. He's an absolute, he's an iron-willed leader of that squad. Got the first goal or the second goal in that game. I can't remember which one it was, but just incredible. You don't need Chucky with Dreyer there, in my opinion. I don't think he touches grass in a San Diego uniform for the rest of the season.
Yeah, it's kind of hard if you're sort of the management team of there, San Diego. Once you've made that hard decision to sort of excommunicate him as well, like to bring him back in just shows weakness and dependency on him as well. And you can say, look, we've come this far. We're good without you, right? But there is also an element of cutting your nose off and spiting your face as well, right?
No, they want to win. So we'll wait and see, but I would not be surprised, especially if it was a locker room incident where introducing him back into there suddenly makes the environment more toxic. Do they really want that? He hasn't been there for 3 games. They've won all those games, right? And and handily so. Why would you go in and introduce that type of angle? I don't know, but
yeah. There we go. I'm assuming by the fact that all we've done is speak about San Diego here as well, that we don't see Portland having much of a chance of getting through to the next round here. Is that kind of a fair assessment?
I'd say that's a very astute observation.
Well, you think...
No arguments here. No arguments here.
I can't even...
You will not hear a pro-Portland voice on
no. The only figure I think that has any real ability for Portland is this guy Mora, right? He is a sneaky, slippery, midfielder that can come out of nowhere and hurt you. But no, San Diego's too savvy. They're not gonna yield to him.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I think we all have San Diego, obviously, as well, from my side perspective, on a biased perspective, I am a massive San Diego fan just for the fact they've come in and, again, burst onto the scene as well, and particularly in this ones as well. So I think San Diego definitely go through with this, and I think they're going to be hard ones to catch. Okay. We had Cincinnati on Monday night. We had Cincinnati hosting Columbus.
Hell is real, baby.
This one looked pretty one-sided. Well, I'm not going to say pretty one-sided. That's not fair to say.
It was not one-sided at all.
This was not a one-sided one. I'm just looking at the total shots. But yeah, tell me, guys, what's your take?
Will,
on this one?
take the lead on this one. I'm curious to hear your take.
As you say, there wasn't a huge amount between the two teams. The big difference really was number 9s. The only goal of the game came from Kevin Denke, who was a club record sign-in for Cincinnati, start of the season. Scored the goal from a yard out. Is that generous?
It's about, yeah.
If we're rounding up, if we're rounding up, we'll say a yard and a half. Yeah. But a poacher's finish, he was there when was needed. Whereas the Columbus equivalent of that player, Abu Ali, is still out injured. He came in at the end of summer, played 5 or 6 games, scored a few goals, and is now out, I think, for the remainder of round 1 at least. And by extension, Columbus won 1 game down in the series. That might be him for the season. So I think that's been the problem with Columbus this year, really, that they haven't had that goal scorer. Brought in Daniel Gazdag from Philadelphia to be that kind of player. Such a good scoring record with Philly in the past, but it's just not really clicked. They've lost so many pieces over the last 2 years, really, since that 2023 MLS Cup win. And there's really not enough, attacking individual talent. They still have, at times, that great kind of Wilfred Nancy system, the way they play, but there's just not really that enough of the front end talent to win games when they're not playing that well. So yeah, I would see this series continuing as it is, where Cincinnati maybe nick it in 3 games or another 1-0 on the road, and it'll be tight, but I think Cincinnati have enough to get it done.
I was absolutely transfixed and in love with the atmosphere that even came through the television. You can tell that these are fan bases that they get it. They feel it, man. It was so raucous and so rowdy. And it is such a well-established derby. Even back when Cincinnati was in the USL, before they moved up into the MLS, they would still occasionally meet in Open Cup competitions and just bring all that vibrancy. But as a game goes, I was surprised at how even it was, right? I mean, same number of big chances. Sure, Cincinnati had the edge on shots, but I mean, almost the same number of passes, and it came down to goalkeepers making good saves. And as you said, the number 9 who could finish, and that happened to be Denke. I'm a huge fan of Abu Ali. If I'm not mistaken, they got him from Al Ahly, right? Who, and he's a Palestinian national, who they got out of Al Ahly, and he got the only hat trick in the Club World Cup, in the FIFA Club World Cup. So, and a perfect hat trick at that, in the group phase. So yeah, I thought he was a great signing. It's a bummer that they do miss him a lot. Even if just for the threat, right? Just having somebody up there that you have to permanently keep an eye on is enough to create opportunity somewhere else for one of the other creative minds inside Columbus to nick something in. It's not going to happen. As long as he's out, it's Columbus's match, and I think you're right. They do it in 3 because I think the home stadium advantage really plays in this derby.
Interesting. Okay, wonderful. Okay, then moving on to the last 3 fixtures that happened as well. We had a very, very tight game by the looks of it between Minnesota and the Seattle Sounders. This one went a long way. Extra time, scoreless, and then penalties. Minnesota just managed to nick it 3-2 on penalties as well. But it does look, just statistically looking at it, it looks as though Sounders did have the more dominant of the statistics. I mean, look at this. Minnesota didn't even have a shot on target by the looks of it as well, right? So what was your take on this one?
This is, in my opinion, this is exactly the type of game that proves that 0-0 draws are not boring. Because this game was, I saw it. Wow, I was impressed. I loved it. I just loved everything about this. The physicality, the energy, the vibe. Sure, the shooting could have been more accurate, but whatever. I mean, it's I actually thought Minnesota looked as good, if not better than, in my opinion, the statistics may not bear it out, but I thought Minnesota was more dangerous on a number of different opportunities than Seattle was. But that said, as I wrote about, you never, ever want to play Seattle in a playoff game. Ever. And this proves why. Because they're a pain in the ass. They just absolutely get in your way, and it's like Seattle's an unusual team. You can beat them in the regular season all you want, but when they get into the playoffs, it's like they shift into a whole different mentality. Right? They've only missed 1 playoff in their entire history in the MLS. They have the best playoff record of making the playoffs than any other team, in the league. And they've also only lost 2 of those where they've failed to advance out of their first round. That's an insane history. So, every time somebody in a Sounders shirt steps onto the field, they are carrying the weight of that legacy. And they play as if they recognize the importance of that because they are one tough, stubborn team. I'm not surprised it went to Pens.
They also, this season, in the last couple of months, Seattle have won silverware. They come into this playoffs not with the best regular season record, perhaps, but with momentum and with a recent experience of winning a cup final, playing against Inter Miami and comprehensively beating them. So you do think that the more the playoffs goes on, if Seattle can progress, they almost grow in strength because that belief will be there from previous runs, from previous trophy wins. And yeah, they're a team that I think no one in the league will want to face.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
There it is.
So who do you think's going to get through this? This looks like it might go to, do you think it's going to have to go, obviously 3 games? Well, not actually necessarily. Like Minnesota got lucky here, but do you think Seattle's are able to pull it back and get the other 2 games? Or do you think Minnesota are able to stab them in the eye and get through this round?
I would still lean towards Seattle, I think, just for that experience, enough quality at the top end of the pitch to get things done. And yeah, Minnesota have a very structured way of playing. They've got particular strengths, set pieces in particular, long throws. They play on that a lot. I think that Seattle have a bit more flexibility as they come up against different teams later on in the competition. And I think over the course of these 3 games, Seattle should be able to find solutions in those important moments to progress.
I'm actually leaning towards Minnesota only because of the home field advantages. And I'm going to actually challenge your assumption that Minnesota was lucky. They were not lucky. They actually proved in the penalties that they have a better goalkeeper. All right. St. Clair made better decisions in as a goalkeeper. If I'm not mistaken, he stood his line. He didn't even dive when Alex Roldan stepped up because he knew that he was going to try a Panenka and go up the middle. And sure enough, he did. He just literally stood there and caught the ball. That's not luck. That's preparedness, right? That's Midwestern That's Midwestern savvy coming into play. Nothing fancy about this team. They're very Minnesotan, very quiet, very understated. But they will hit you in accounts. No, I like Minnesota in 3. I like Minnesota in 3.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. And then moving on to the final 2 fixtures as well. Will, I believe you were at this one and saw Charlotte host and lose to New York City. So tell us about your experience being there.
I was. It was the second time I've been to Bank of America Stadium. The first time was Club World Cup, late June, 3 p.m. kickoff. And I would honestly say that a Tuesday evening in late October is a better time to be playing soccer in North Carolina.
Really?
So that was a promise.
The humidity factor, the weather was slightly different, right?
Yeah, considerably more comfortable, and a considerably better game on that front, albeit not much of the game was played by Charlotte. It was a game where, I mean, in MLS, the designated player is so key. That's where so much of the financial resources go, so much of the sort of tactical focus goes. And Charlotte went into this game without Wilfried Zaha. I think we covered it on last week's pod. On the final game of the regular season, with Charlotte cruising to a 2-0 win, Wilfried Zaha gets sent off for an altercation in the final few minutes. He was ruled out for game 1, and Charlotte, who plays such a structured and reactive way of playing, without that mercurial talent on the counter-attack, there was a danger that they would look pretty stodgy and pretty out of ideas, and they did. I mean, the real frustration. So that was a shame. That was a shame because there was an amazing atmosphere among the Charlotte fans. I was with the Blue Furia supporters group, the drums, the trombones, the pre-game party, all that kind of stuff. The atmosphere was amazing. There was close to 40,000, I think, in the stadium, but the performance on the pitch from Charlotte was really lacking. And so, as I mentioned, they didn't have the attacking firepower that they might otherwise have had. The disappointing bit for them was the defensive frailty. Mm-hmm. It was the final score was 1-0. It was a goal from Alonso Martinez playing up front for New York City FC, and he ran 40 yards straight through the midfield, through the defence, slotted the ball between. It was just around Tim Ream, who arrived from the Premier League last summer, and it was a really bad way to concede shortly before half time, and that really killed the game for Charlotte because that allowed NYCFC to sit back. Charlotte didn't really have anything to offer in terms of controlling the game. And yeah, from going from a position where they looked like they could make a real run in the playoffs, Charlotte are now going into game 2 needing to win on the road to ensure that they don't get knocked out of the first round. I mean, Coogan, I'm sure you're watching along. Did you have the same frustrations that I did watching Charlotte play in that way?
Boy, did they miss Wilf. I mean, yeah. I don't have anything else to say. I think your analysis is absolutely spot on, right? They were a little rudderless, right? They just didn't and sort of in the current and allowing themselves to be pushed and prodded along as opposed to taking any initiative, putting up some sails and driving at NYC. They really, I mean, I'm actually. This type of disappointing game, and they were the only home team to fail to win their opening playoff match. Right, every other home team won in these fixtures. I'm actually very excited to see what they do when they go on the road. This actually makes me more excited to watch the next game, only because there's so much on the line. So I'm not sure if they're going to do it, but yeah, at least they'll have their full side there this time. So. Maybe they could bring
Wonderful. Beautiful. Okay, and then finally, guys, last game of the round 1. Night. Obviously, this game happened last night. Yeah, obviously, as a local Austonian as well, I had this one. Obviously on routing as well, but it was really hard to get excited for Austin because LAFC just completely covered these guys as well, just in terms of statistics, just everything in terms of possession, all of those kind of things. It was absolutely. Not really a fair fight. Would you agree with that, or?
I have a question as you said, Austonian. I'm not exactly sure that is the proper term, but Austinite. That's okay. Owen Wilson, who is a son of Texas. All right, he went to UT, and right is a proud a child of Austin. Was wearing LAFC gear in the crowd with one of his children. How do you feel about that as somebody from Austin, Gary?
Well, he's more of an LA resident now as well, so that's clearly where he sort of got into it. As long as we've got McConaughey on this side, then we're okay. Then
do you think
okay.
McConaughey and him are going to have some beef now? I mean, if that goes on pay-per-view, I'm watching it.
Evidently as well. I do wonder if Owen Wilson will even travel home and come to the Austin for the return fixture as well. We'll see about that one, but yeah, I think no, we'll have McConaughey and the gang over here on this side,
and his green suit and drums.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah,
and please do not assume, dear listener, that just because I'm mentioning celebrities that the game was boring. It was not, actually. I thought LAFC looked really good. Son was wonderful. He was so silky, so creative. It was a surprisingly physical game. Lots of hits, lots of knockdowns. I read somewhere that it was one of those occasions where you get knocked over 6-7 times. You got to get up 7 or 8 times, right? It's just keep on keeping on. And LA did that. LA did that and should have probably had more. But Austin just did enough. And I mean, an unlucky own goal to kick things off, but a fantastic finish that I was, as a referee, when I saw Ordaz touch the ball and put it in the net, I freaked out because I was like, oh my God, surely he was offsides. And the look on his face, he suddenly realized, oh crap, I think I was offsides. I should have let the ball go. But I don't, and it turns out that he was onside. But so, kudos to them on that one. But it was. I think
that was one of my moments of the first round of the playoffs. Was the look on Nathan Ordaz's face when he realized that he has potentially cost the superstar Denny Bouanga his goal in the final minutes. It was a bit. I don't know if you remember the Cristiano Ronaldo disallowed goal
with
against Spain when
Nani,
this incredible run from Ronaldo, cuts inside, chips the ball over the keeper, and different facial expressions, because Ordaz looked like he wanted the ground to open up and swallow him whole. He wanted to be anywhere else. Yeah. But yeah, very sweet. I'm glad he got his goal. He's a hard-working player, and he adds a nice bit of balance alongside the superstars Denny Bouanga and Son up front.
He's a young kid. He's only 20, right? So he's a young kid, and you could see it. It was, and I think it shows a little bit of his character that he immediately recognized it. And even afterwards was like, in the interview afterwards, he was like, wow, I'm just glad that I was on side, because that would have just been devastating. And I will also say that the physics on the ball made it look like, I don't think it was going in. I actually think it was going to strike the post, and you don't know what's going to happen on that one, right? So dodged a bullet, but good for him.
Got through. Yep. Yeah. Okay, so LA comfortably through on that one. I think they'll probably be able to come back to Austin on Sunday and probably turn them over at home and comfortably sort of get through that one with or without Owen Wilson. Yeah. I think they should be okay. So yes,
maybe Luke will show up for Austin. He still lives in Texas.
He does. Yeah. Okay, so just sort of like looking through the playoffs and now sort of having seen some of the teams in their first go out in the playoffs as well, how are we thinking about sort of, just sort of predictions here of who you think will get through to the final rounds? I know we still got the couple of rounds and then the quarters and then the semis, but generally sort of what would you think sort of, if you guys had to make a prediction on who will be showing up in the final, where would you guys, if you were pressed, have to sort of,
the final?
Teams you think? Yeah, make the final go all through the way, just in terms of look at that
answering that question.
It's too far out for you, Cooligan. Is that what it is?
I respectfully decline to answer that, but I'll let Will go. If he wants.
I will disrespectfully accept.
All right.
But I will give it to you in slightly vague terms. I think from the East, it will be a powerhouse team. It will probably be Inter Miami. It could also be bursting through into the MLS Cup final. Potentially Cincinnati. Be one of those top teams that's been, towards the top for the whole regular season. I think out in the West, I'm now more leaning towards someone like a Seattle. someone who has not had the most, it's not been some all-conquering regular season, but a team who I do think can just get the job done. And I think it'll be that kind of matchup in the final. It'll be a superstar favorite from the East against a wily underdog in the West.
Interesting. So you don't even think as well, sort of such as like Vancouver or LAFC will be able to get through. You think Seattle are just going to be too dominant for them in the sort of semis and the quarters and in the other knockout phases?
I think the fact that LAFC didn't swat Austin aside in the manner that Inter Miami did with Nashville is a bit of a concern, because they've not been consistently great through the regular season. They've got Denis Bouanga, Son on an incredible hot streak now. I don't know if that's necessarily something you can fall back on all the way through the playoffs, particularly when you get beyond round one and it's going to be straight knockout games. I do think there's a chance they get outdone by someone who just sits back and doesn't allow them that space.
Interesting. Wonderful.
You may have something there.
You don't sound completely convinced.
I'm not completely convinced. I'm not completely convinced, but I like your argument. I mean, I think your argument is a sound one. I'm not sure it's necessarily going to be the correct one, but I like what you're going. I like the angle you're taking on that.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, gents, thank you very much. I know we're a little bit over time, so it went a bit longer than we had initially planned. But that's
there's 8 games. How are we going to go through?
Well, that's it. Yeah, especially with the extra guest as well and the extra word counts as well. But that's okay. That's okay. Well, gents, I think what we'll do is we'll wrap it up there. What we'll do is we'll come back next week after we've seen another couple of after we've seen the second round as well, and then obviously we'll get a better sense of how the quarters are looking as well, which will sort of determine whether or not Will's epiphany will be coming true or not. Which is, I think, you probably will be getting closer to being more right. But in that case, gentlemen, Will, thank you as much as always for joining us as well. Real pleasure to have you, Hooligan.
Thank you as always.
Thank you. As always, Hooligan-Shocker. Look out for all of those articles as well. I think there's some statistical analysis on the salary caps coming out as well. And then, of course, more breakdowns of the playoff rounds coming up as well. Gents, until next time, thank you very much.
Peace.